What's going on, guys? Today's episode is coming at you in 4K because I wanted to show off the epicness of my isolation playoff beard. It's getting out of control, and I think Jody's gonna kill me or kick me out of the house. But I am stuck in the house, and a lot of you are stuck in the house, I think, right now. So on today's episode, I want to give you 20 tips on things you can do when you're stuck inside and can't go out to do photography. We'll get into that, but first, today's video is sponsored by Squarespace.com. If you're looking for a place to house your travel photography website, portfolio, sell prints, have a blog, or whatever, head to squarespace.com/BrendanVanson and you'll get a 10% discount. There's also a link in the description. Now, let's get into these. I'm gonna motor through them pretty quick, and I'm gonna do this just sitting here because I can't go out. But yeah, number one, get camera comfortable. And what I mean by that, and I wish I had a camera, steal Jody's M50. Getting camera comfortable is just what it sounds like. It's getting comfortable with your camera, and the only way to do that is to take pictures. So wander around your house or your garden or wherever and just take pictures of anything. Take pictures of your cups, take pictures of your feet, take pictures of Jody's friend Skakuza here. Because just taking a photo and setting the settings will get you more camera comfortable. If you feel like you're really camera comfortable as it is, turn off the lights in a room and go totally pitch black and see if you can still manipulate all the buttons you want on your camera. Number two, build a website. I think every photographer needs a website. That doesn't mean you need a blog or portfolio on it or to sell prints on it or anything like that. But initially, right away, as soon as you realize you do photography, you should be buying a website. You should be like at least building the homepage of a website. You can buy, your name, photography.com or whatever you want. Just have a website because then you'll be able to start building the blocks of that website later on. Number three is create a portfolio. And even if you're not sharing your portfolio, I think it's really important to try to build a portfolio. It kind of forces you to filter your own images and decide on what your best photos are. That's one of the hardest things to do in photography is selecting your own best images. I think a portfolio should be about 12 to 20 images at the max. Even if you don't have a website where you're publicly sharing it, do it at home. Number four, build your social media platforms. I know that a lot of photographers say things like, I hate Facebook, so I'm not there, or I hate Instagram, so I'm not there. If you're a business or if you want to eventually be a business, you have to build up your social media platforms everywhere. You have to put a profile everywhere, even if you don't use them. And you might personally hate Facebook, and that's totally fine. But from a business standpoint, you can't really hate Facebook. You still have to at least be present there. In my opinion, the ones you definitely need are Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Everything else is a bonus, but if you got a lot of time, go everywhere. 5, give yourself a photography challenge. Just because you're trapped at home doesn't mean you can't give yourself a photography challenge. It could be anything. It could be try to shoot astro from your backyard, or try to photograph the common household items in a really nice way. Being stuck at home also means you could practice product photography with some of the things you already have in your house, like that giant fort of toilet paper you've built. Number 6, photography critiques. I think that the single most important way to grow as a photographer, aside from actually going out and taking pictures, is being critiqued and critiquing others. We do it over in my Facebook group. We critique other people's work, and I think it's so helpful. I think it's really easy to be always proud of your images. It's something you created.
Thank you to the Academy for this honor of honors.
But you need to hear from other people the things you're doing wrong.
Hey, Gilmore, you suck.
And also, you need to be able to identify the things other people might be doing wrong. It just helps you grow as a photographer, so photo critiques. Number 7, play with macro. If Amazon is still delivering near you, you can order macro extension tubes. You don't need a macro lens. Basically what they do is they essentially just pull your camera lens element farther away from your sensor, meaning that you can focus closer to closer items. With basically any lens, you could take your 70 to 200 or your 50 millimeter or whatever, throw macro extension tubes on, and you got a macro lens. At home, it's a really fun thing to play with. If you've got a garden, that makes a really fun thing to do in the garden. Number 8, organize your Lightroom library. If you're like me, you didn't know what you were doing with Lightroom when you started, and your Lightroom library kind of got a little bit messy. And then you neglected it for years and years and years and years, and it just got messier and messier and messier. So if you are stuck in and you have free time, this might be a really good time to organize your Lightroom library and get everything, in one place really organized so you're not jumping all over the place looking for different RAW files or JPEGs or whatever it is you do. Number 9, make yourself a photo book. I think it's really good to remember that just because we can't take pictures doesn't mean we can't do photography. A photo book is a great way of finding your best photos and creating something with the work you've already done. I also think that when you print your work in any way, shape, or form, it makes your work feel more tangible, more real, and it's a really special thing. So print a photo book, try to build a photo book of some sort. Number 10, if you've already built a portfolio, refine it. You might think that building a portfolio is a one-time thing. It's not. It's something you constantly have to refine. I use Lightroom to do it. Basically give 5 stars to my portfolio images, and any time that I get more than 20 images that are rated 5 stars, I cut one. And it's kind of sad when I do it. It's like saying goodbye to an old friend, but it needs to be done. You need to constantly be refining your portfolio. You can't just keep adding to it. The way I describe it is if you have 100 photos, people are going to take the average of your 100 photos, and that's like the score they're going to give it. If you have 20 photos of those 100 that are your best 20, your average score is going to go way up. So refine your portfolio, get it really, really locked in. Number 11, now might be a really good time to try MICROSTOCK. If you have images ready to submit, you could submit them, you can search out some MICROSTOCKs. I know everybody's gonna go, oh, but Brendan, you don't really make that much money on MICROSTOCK. I know, but even if you don't make very much money, it's residual. I haven't uploaded to MICROSTOCK in like 3 years now, and I still make $200 a month from it. So it's not a lot of money, but it could be something down the road and it could be something residual. I highly recommend shutterstock.com. That's kind of where I sell the most images. And you know what? I'm going to write a blog post about all this. There's a link in the description to that as well. So there'll be links to all these things I talk about there. Number 12, refine a pitch. If you're starting to think about selling photos or starting to try to move into the business of photography a little bit more, you need to be able to sell yourself. So sit down, give yourself a maximum 100 words, 2 paragraphs, and write a pitch selling yourself to a potential client. Like I said, usually the most successful photographers aren't the best photographers, they're just the ones that know how to sell themselves. Number 13, start a blog. A blog is so valuable. I cannot stress that enough. No matter what type of photography you do, having a blog allows you to reach a new audience and people that will just organically find you via search. So if you're a wedding photographer from Kent and you don't have a blog, your ways of finding people is probably word of mouth. If you have a blog, people might find you because they find your blog and they search something like Kent, England wedding photographers or Kent wedding photographers, and your blog shows up and they'll find you just organically. And it doesn't matter if you're a landscape photographer, portrait photographer, wedding photographer, pet photographer, whatever, get a blog started. Number 14, photograph your pets or your family members. Your family members might get a little sick of you like practicing on them, but your pets probably won't.
Binky, where are you?
I know you like head scratches, but come in the garden. Let's take some pictures. It's okay, buddy. Come into the garden. We'll take a picture.
Binky, the super rabbit!
So if you have a pet at home or a family member willing to be photographed, it's a great time to practice things like lighting and different camera settings, maybe off-camera flash if you have that sort of thing. So number 15, create a list of rights managed photography agents that you might want to pitch. I wouldn't pitch them right now because they're probably stressing out just like the rest of us, but build a list, refine your pitch, and then when this kind of all is said and done, you can then send them a pitch and you already have a list of all the agencies that you want to pitch. And if you don't know, a rights managed agency is like a photography agent that sells your photos for you. I use tandem stock stills and motion, but there's hundreds and hundreds out there. Number 16 is clean up your social media. I don't mean that in a mean way. I just mean that most people's social media is messy. I mean that not the things you say, but the banners you use or your name of your handle or your links or your description or your bio. All of these things on your various social media, they're your marketing. When people go to your profile, they see the banner, and if it's not a really beautifully designed banner, they're not gonna really want to see much more. If they see your profile picture and it's not your face, they're probably gonna be like, this isn't a person. And if they see a bunch of grammar errors in the bio, they're probably not gonna respect it very much. So clean it up. Number 17 is to build a business plan. I'm one of the very many people in this world that never had a business plan. I spent 6 years struggling with my business and just struggling. And I think part of that was just not having a clearly laid out business plan. Later on, I sat down and I really focused in on creating a business plan that had some financial goals. It had some ideas on how I'm going to reach those goals. And it just kind of laid out the next 5 years for me. And that was a huge turning point for me. I keep having to click up the brightness because it's getting dark in the UK. Yikes. Number 18, add the social media you've been neglecting. I kind of mentioned this before, but what I kind of mean by this is if you have all the social medias already, but you don't use Twitter very much just because you don't see the value and you have extra time, this might be the time to devote some time to Twitter and try to figure out how it works. Might be the time to devote some time to Pinterest as well, which is, really neglected by photographers, but bloggers really love it. Number 19, and this is crazy, but try TikTok. TikTok is addictive. And yes, it's mostly used by small children who dance, but it is actually a lot of fun. And I think there's a massive opportunity for photographers to get in there. I've seen a couple really cool photographers doing things like photography hacks or quick portraits with strangers or street photography tips. And it's actually really successful. They're getting millions and millions of viewers and hundreds and thousands of followers. So go check out TikTok. It's a little bit like demoralizing when you first use it because it's hard to navigate. But if you can find a cool way to use it, I think there's a huge potential there. And I am there, but I hardly use it. I think I'm just Brendan Vanson over there, if you want to go follow me. And number 20 is print your images. Let's tick up the brightness one more again. Print your images. Like I said earlier, it's such an important thing for photographers to actually print their photos. When you print a photo, you really see the things that you've done wrong in it, but you also get this really empowering feeling just seeing your work in like physical form. It just makes it real and it makes it special. Go and print your work, have your work printed, or try printing it at home if you have a printer. Now that's it. I do have like 2 more vlogs left, so don't worry, it's not always gonna be sitting down in front of the camera. I got 2 vlogs left from Morocco still coming. They're gonna be on Sunday and Wednesday, and then I've got a couple ideas for things to do in isolation here as well. So it's not gonna be all sitting down in front of the camera. I just wanted to give you guys some tips and ideas in case you guys are bored in isolation right now. And that's it for me. Massive shout out to squarespace.com. If you are looking for a place to make your blog or portfolio or sell some prints, that's a great place to do it. There's a link in the description to their website, or go directly to squarespace.com/Brendan Vanson and you'll get a discount. It's now pouring rain in the UK and I'm going to call this an episode. Like I said, another episode from Morocco coming up on Sunday, and I'll see you there. Peace.